Tonight to the pre-departure orientation for Greece. We're really excited. I think we have almost everybody here that's from UGA going, so it should be really fun. Before we get started, I want to introduce to you the members of the Global Lead team, and then you'll get to meet some of them who are going to be heavily involved with the Greece trip later on. So I'm going to kick it off by introducing the two co-founders. If you all both stand up, Robbie and Garrett. These guys are the co-founders of the Global Lead program. Let's give them a hand. They're both here, and Robbie's going to be in Greece for one of the program directors there. Garrett is in charge of some of the leadership curriculum, so you'll see him on the trip as well. Courtney Duran, who is not going to talk a lot tonight, but I know, how many students in here have been in email communication with Courtney Duran? Raise your hand. Courtney holds Global Lead together, and she is the one who, the reason you have these great packets and all that kind of stuff. Courtney's one of the original members of the team, and she's fantastic. Beth Ann is also a member of the core team. She's going to be the other program director in Greece. I'll tell you more about her later. They know her in the back. She's famous back there. And then a couple other members of our team who you guys aren't going to have a lot of interaction with, but I want you to know them. Jacqueline Tolliver over here on the end will help lead our students in Cape Town. And in the very back, right, in the bright blue shirt, Joanna Harbin. Joanna is a senior here at UGA, and when she graduates, will be coming on the Global Lead team as well and headed to Cape Town. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to turn it over to Doug Toma, who's our faculty director, and let him introduce the rest of the faculty from UGA that's going to be on the program. But before that, I want to just give you a little bit of background and let you know kind of why we do what we do at Global Lead. And we thought about having a video to show, or everybody sharing different stories. But I thought of one story that I really think captures in a nutshell the essence of why we do what we do. And the story's about one guy who made one decision 147 years ago that has our nation the way it is today. One guy who made one decision 147 years ago that has our nation functioning the way it is today. It was a 34-year-old teacher. So Doug, you like the professors? He was a professor of rhetoric and of literature, so he'd have fit in the Franklin College here. And this guy on July 3rd, 1863, was not acting as a teacher that day. He was acting as a colonel in the Union Army. So 34-year-old teacher, not much military experience. He's a colonel in the Union Army, and this is his assignment that day. He's got his men, and they're put about 3/4 of the way up a hill called Little Round Top right here, and they are supposed to hold this hill. They said, whatever you do, don't leave. You've got to hold this hill, because if you don't stop the Confederates from taking this hill, then they're going to be able to get to the top of the hill and come downhill behind us, and they'll be able to wipe us out. So they said, whatever you do, don't leave. And so that day he got there, and they began to fortify their hill with a rock wall. So if you can imagine, it's 110 yards long, so about as long as a football field. They take rocks about this size, and they stack them all the way along to about thigh high right here. So 110 yards, thigh high, and about 2:30 that afternoon, the Confederates make their first push up the hill. And as they come up, Joshua Chamberlain and his men pushed them down. And then the 15th and 47th Alabama from the Confederate side pushed up again, and they shot them down again. Again and again. 4 times the Confederates charged, and every single time Joshua Chamberlain and his men pushed them back. On the 4th time, Joshua Chamberlain was hit. But he got hit right where his sword holder was, and so he got back up and continued fighting. And they began to regroup because they knew the Confederates were going to try one more time to stop them. At that point, they realized they were out of ammunition. So, okay. You got to realize this picture real quick. This guy had started 6 months ago, the 20th of May. They had 1,000 men. This morning, they had started July 3rd with 300 men. They're now down to 80. 80 men, no ammunition. And they've got to take 400 men down there. And his brother comes up to him and he says, we have no ammunition. He goes, it's time to pull back. And Joshua Chamberlain said, no, we're not pulling back. And then the sergeant came up, Sergeant Tozier, and he said, should I sound the call for retreat? And he said, no. Don't sound the call for retreat. We're staying right here. And he said, but sir, we have no ammunition. And Colonel Chamberlain said, all right, go and gather all the ammunition from the dead and the wounded. And they go, we did that last time. They're left with 80 men, no ammunition. And he says, all right, fix bayonets. They look at him like he's crazy. He said, fix bayonets. And they began all the way down the line to put their knives on their empty weapons. And he says, we're going to execute a great white whale. Just think of a door swinging open. They're going to swing down an all-out charge like a hinge down there over these men. And before any of them can question, he jumps up on the wall, he pulls out his sword, and he yells, charge. And that day, 80 men poured over the wall and into history. And 80 men with no ammunition, 80 men captured 400 men that day. And you know what's so great about that story is historians actually believe that had he not charged that day, many of them say that the South could have indeed taken the hill and won the battle at Gettysburg if they had not charged that day. Historians also believe if the South would have won at Gettysburg, not only would they have prolonged the war, they could have actually had a chance to win it. So that makes me think, I think in my mind, if the South would have won the war today, we'd be the North and the South, right? Well, actually, historians actually disagree. They say that our continent would look a lot like Europe. That we'd have 9 to 13 countries right in here on our continent instead of the United States of America. What that means is that when Hitler came through in the 1940s and was going through Europe, there would have been no United States of America strong enough to stop Hitler. It means that with the rise of communism, with the Soviet Union, that there would have been no nation strong enough, no nation big enough, no nation wealthy enough to stop what had happened. There would be nobody else because there wouldn't be the United States of America. You see, there are so many things that have happened that we have a country that could stop them because of one guy who made one decision 147 years ago. Why does that matter? We do what we do. Some of us left paying jobs to come and do this. Robbie left the best paying job. But we do this because we honestly believe that people have the opportunity to make decisions and take actions that change the world. And we have a great program. We have lots of fun. Dr. Whitney, you know, we have the craziest adventure of any program out there. Moms, cover your ears. But at the end of the day, Global Lead is about a couple real important things. We do service. We have people open their eyes to a different point of view and have the opportunity to give back. And then they learn leadership lessons. In Greece, from Vince and Barbara Dooley, who will teach them lessons so they can come back and be leaders on their campus, in their cities, in their community. And that's why we do what we do. And there's one person at on this campus who really makes this all possible, who believed in us from the very beginning. And we have credibility in classes on this campus today because of this guy right here. So I'm going to turn it over to Doug Toma. His voice is struggling.